Once an addict, always an addict. Is that true? Or is it possible to fully overcome addiction? That is what we are going to be discussing today with my good friend, Aubrey Svedin.
Hello. Thank you for having me on, Jennifer.
I am so excited to have you on because you have been so instrumental in helping me to get to this point. And we're going to talk about why that was so helpful for me. Basically, you are an emotion code practitioner, an SRT coach. You also graduated with me in the light-filled astrology course.
Yes.
And all of these tools that you have shared with me and allowed me to participate in have been amazing. And so, to my audience, I have this amazing person here who has agreed to basically join me on my crusade against chronic depression. She has provided SRT clearings that goes along with this podcast and program. And I would say if you did one thing and one thing only, this would be the thing to do. Aubrey, will you please tell us more about SRT and emotion code, why it is so effective, how it works, and why you would recommend it to someone who's suffering from depression or addiction?
There is a lot to those questions. I want to just share how I found SRT. When I started my journey, I too have overcome depression. I have been diagnosed with complex trauma and PTSD, and it all began with undiagnosed depression. And so that led to a whole lifetime of poor decisions in my life that I made that I didn't know how to get myself out of. After I found confidence to take action in my life, depression settled in.
So you're saying that the depression happened after you started recovering?
It was undiagnosed in my youth, and then PTSD took over. And in order for me to recover from depression, I had to heal from the PTSD. And so when I healed from PTSD and I was no longer triggered and reliving the traumatic events that I went through, all of a sudden I was recognizing the foundation of what caused everything. And that was the depression that I had not taken care of. And so it was just part of my journey. It's not that depression came out of nowhere after I healed. It was more the acknowledgement of the depression and that was almost the foundation of my journey. And so when I was feeling this depression settle in, I had been mind you, an emotion code practitioner for quite some time. And I didn't know how to feel, I don't know, happy again. So emotion code helped me to relieve myself from the triggers of PTSD, of my trauma. But this depression, it was a different story and that I didn't know how to get past. When I found SRT, which is the subconscious release technique, I learned that there are belief systems that I created that were connected to these trapped emotions that I had been releasing. Now, emotion code is a way to release trapped emotions, but it doesn't release the belief systems connected to them.
Interesting.
And yeah, and sometimes it's like the belief systems just go with the emotion, but more often than not, in our youth, when we trap emotions, we trap certain beliefs with them. And so I had these belief systems about myself that I needed to shift. I had this mindset about what life was like that I needed to let go of. And a mindset really is just how we utilize our belief systems and walk through life. And so when I found SRT, which is the subconscious release technique, I was able to recognize the belief systems that I was living in that were initially connected to these trapped emotions. So I was no longer being triggered to relive the past. However, I was still living in the belief systems that I had created in the past. And there is a difference between those two. When you're triggered, emotions are connected to it. So when I was dealing with complex trauma, I would have a trigger and it was as if I was living in the past again. It was as if everything was happening in the present moment and I couldn't distinguish between the past and the present emotionally. So letting go of all those triggers was so pertinent for me to find my belief system. And so after I was no longer living emotionally in the past, I found that I was needing to shift some of these belief systems I had created, such as life has to be hard was one of the belief systems, like everything is hard. And I remember one time I was driving and there was a billboard on the side of the road that says, "It doesn't have to be hard." And I responded to that billboard out loud and I said, "Yes, it does." Because I had this belief system that if it wasn't hard, like if I wasn't actually climbing a mountain and making it hard, like I wasn't worthy. Because in order to be worthy of anything, it has to be hard, right? Like I have to put in that effort, that work. In order for it to be valuable for my life, it has to be hard. And I was living a pretty freaking hard life in my own mind. Like everything I did, I struggled with. And so learning that I could shift that belief that it gets to be easy, and it does get to be easy, and it is easy. Life is so easy. Sometimes I get frustrated because things are outside of my control, but at the same time, I've learned to let it be easy. And so when I found these belief systems that were creating a personality trait essentially that I didn't even realize I was acting in, it was creating a mindset that I was acting in. The mindset of life gets to be hard. That one belief system created the hardships in my life that I was at one point in time dealing with. I learned how to release that belief system in a natural, and it feels almost scientific way, utilizing the subconscious release technique. It is like a do it yourself healing guide, or you can get a coach to take you through it. It requires honesty about like, when you're working with somebody as well as yourself, you got to be like brutally honest and
Mhm.
say what's truly going through your mindset. When I was a child, I really thought life had to be hard because nothing ever came easy to me. You know, I had 7 siblings, me made 8 kids in my family, and I was a middle child. And when I wanted anything, I had to vocally express it very loudly many, many times, and nothing ever came easy to me. And I witnessed it come easy to my older siblings. I witnessed it come easy to my younger siblings. But for me, I felt like I had to fight for it. And so I created that mindset that I have to fight for what I want, and it's not going to come easy. And so I found SRT, which meant I had to be honest and actually admit that I believed that life needed to be hard, and other vulnerable belief systems that I had pertaining
Right.
to that.
Because I
Yeah.
think if you ask someone, "Do you believe that life should be hard?" I think the first response is, "Well, no. No, of course not." But if you really are looking a little deeper, you
Yeah.
you can see that, "Oh, all of my actions, all of my thought processes are saying that, yeah, I think I actually do." And to be critically not critical, but almost like a Sherlock Holmes type energy of trying to get to the bottom of where's the root of these problems I'm facing in my life? What lies am I believing in that are holding
Yeah.
me back? And so that's where the being brutally honest can come from. Because I remember when I had coaches, and that's why coaches can be so valuable, is because now it's quite easy for the most part for me to be brutally honest myself. Back then, not so much. When I was chronically depressed, I was in total denial. And so it
Yeah.
helps to have someone to kind of call out those things that you don't want to see or you don't want to believe. But it's also
Yeah.
possible, especially if the SRT clearings are already created for someone who has a propensity for depression. If you just do
Yeah.
them, you don't have to believe they're going to work for them to work.
That is true. And so when I'm working with a client, sometimes they're like, well, that doesn't sound like me. That doesn't sound like a belief system I have. And I'm sitting there thinking, I love my clients, but I'm all like, oh, you are so lying to yourself. Like,
Yeah.
you are a little liar right now. We're going to clear this and you're going to watch your life change. And we do. We clear it. I do let my clients usually guide the sessions. And so, like, if they're adamantly not wanting me to clear that belief system, I won't. But I can hear, I'm trained to hear within your words what you're not saying.
Mhm.
And what you're not saying is that belief system you're in denial about. I can hear in between the words, especially when I implement, like if I'm working one on one with somebody and not just in one of my recordings of the classes for depression. If I'm working one on one, I do emotion code releases. And when we release those emotions, we can so easily pull up the belief systems connected to them. it's easier to pull them up and release those belief systems at that same time. Then we clear them. And so that's why I always recommend in the recording that I have for the first workbook is do all the belief system shifting. Release it, let it go, and allow yourself to do it, even if you don't necessarily believe it's a belief system that you have. I guarantee you one of your ancestors had it, and it is somehow, in some way, shape, or form, directing your life
Mhm.
today, even if it's in the minutest. Go ahead and do the belief system and shift it. And so the science behind this SRT is it's modeled after a technique called the bioenergetic synchronization technique. And so that is like a technique that chiropractors or people who are able to be like hands-on with a client to test for them, they use in order to test the belief systems that their clients have. And since I do coaching, I'm not a chiropractor, I'm not a hands-on physician, I don't touch anybody. The creator of SRT reintegrated all of this information that was in the bioenergetics synchronization technique into the subconscious release technique, basically. And so there's science behind what we do here. There's multiple ways to go about doing it, but this is one of the most easiest mindset shifts type of techniques that I have found that works for me. And it not only works for me, it works for my clients. I've seen lives change utilizing this technique. I've been working with you, Jennifer, for some time. And when we find these beliefs, and I know you mentioned to me because I was doing some type of brain coding in one of my groups, and you're like, I really like the SRT. And I'm all like, me too. And so I'm all like, I brought that back and implemented it more. But there's multiple techniques that you can use to shift the belief systems that you've created, that we've created. This one is just so thorough. I really like it.
Next question for you is, what are all the things you offer? Tell us about your individual sessions versus group sessions, paid and free, and the whole gamut, because you offer a little bit of everything to anyone on any level who just wants to get started. And that's what I love. And something else I remember hearing from you was that I hope that you take what I'm teaching you, you learn how to do it yourself, and you stop coming back because you're doing it on your own now. And I thought, wow, that's a really bad business model, but that's also just how much Aubrey wants people to heal. She doesn't
Yeah.
want to keep having you come back for years and years and years.
Yeah. I don't want to work with a client for years on end. I do truly want you to heal. I want you to come in and take what I'm teaching and processing with you, learn how to do it yourself, and then come back when you just need that little extra help. I mean, I also have a coach that I go to when I need that little extra help because, life gets lifey and sometimes these old belief systems take over and I can't see what I need to see. And so I need someone else to help me. But truly, I don't spend thousands and thousands of dollars working with a coach to heal because I've done that and I'm in a place where life is beautiful and that's what I desire for my clients. Confident, happy, happy. After my divorce, so much stories here, but briefly went through a divorce and then went through traumatic dating experiences. Like, I had somebody tell me that I was jaded, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, I am jaded," especially when it comes to men, and being jaded and angry, and then business and being jaded in business and in life, and just it's not a happy feeling. And so what I do with my clients is truly the desire to bring happiness and joy back into their lives and to be confident to take action in happiness and joy. Jennifer went through this 12-week course and it was just amazing watching her step from insecurity to I may release this podcast at the beginning of 2025 to halfway through. She was just like, I'm going to do it and I'm going to do it before Thanksgiving. And she found that confidence. She found that happiness. She found the joy in her passion. And not only was it within her business, but like she experienced within her family, the shift of how she views her family, the shift of the joy within her private life that she's, not previously experienced before. And it was beautiful watching her go through that. And she's not the only client that went through that had magnificent shifts within their life, their business, their personal life overall. I'm doing a reclaim series, reclaim progress, healing, perfection, burnout. And so that's just one of the classes. We're going to let go of the belief systems that are connected to perfectionism that create burnout in your life. Belief systems such as, if it's not perfect, I'll be rejected. They're going to reject me. I need it to be perfect. And that's just, one belief system of many that I have that we will be shifting in this class. These are the classes that are for everybody: a mother, an employee, an employer, a friend, somebody that's dealing with exhaustion, because I have a multitude of classes like that, where we focus on one belief system and we shift it, and it creates beautiful changes, especially stepping into the joy of your life.
They're very, very affordable. I mean, those classes, they're over an hour long, very specific in the programmings that we're clearing.
I also have my free Zodiac business mindset class that you can watch. It's just how to view business through the eyes of the Zodiac.
And personal life, I think it's applicable no matter where
Oh,
you're at. And when you say business, what I think of business, I've been a stay-at-home mom. I'm still a stay-at-home mom. And so how you stay at home mom or how you pursue your goals, whatever that is, that's your business. And it doesn't have to be an organized business where you're trying to make all this money. It's what are your goals? And so it really does apply to anyone.
your business is the goals you are going after. That's amazing. I might use that. And so,
By all means.
but I have my Facebook group, which is Celestial Mindset Coaching. So if you wanted to join my Facebook group, that is where I will be posting. I will be focusing on the everyday person in my Celestial Mindset Coaching group. I've had that group for many years, and it's one of my favorite groups, and I go live in it, and I share a lot of free things within that group as well.
Thank you. And
Yeah.
I wanted to ask you, would you be willing to do one belief system for us, a SRT example of what that is like?
Yes. And I actually wanted to share what SRT can be used for. So, SRT, like the belief systems we clear, they can be used to help you achieve goals, to improve your skills. Like if you're struggling at playing the piano, but you want to get better at it, I can help you remove belief systems connected to like piano playing, guitar playing, any skill you would like to get better at. It can help you to eliminate bad habits, such as why you're smoking. I had one client, we did SRT and emotion code as to why she was drinking caffeine, and she hasn't had caffeine since. And that was like 7 months ago.
Wow.
The next time she came in, she's like, I haven't even been feeling the trigger. So you can eliminate bad habits, improve your learning abilities, overcome fears and phobias, recover from illness and injury, release negative emotions at a subconscious level. We can then utilize this technique to rewire and implement positive belief systems connected to the belief system that we release, like a positive one. Instead of believing everything has to be hard, I now believe that everything gets to be easy. And when I'm making it hard, I get to remind myself that it gets to be easy.
It's not to say that life is never hard, but that your
No.
approach of
Yeah.
leaning in and surrendering, which is I bring up a lot in this podcast, can
Mhm.
make it easy even when it's hard. And I know that sounds counterintuitive, but that you can feel peace even through difficult situations, and it can feel
Yes.
easy.
Yes. Absolutely, it can feel easy. And so, what belief system would you like? I mean, I keep going back to everything should be hard, or everything. Is that
Yeah,
the
let's
belief
do
that
that
we
one.
want?
Yeah.
Okay. And so, how SRT works is it is a breathing technique where we go through the belief system is everything is hard. Life is hard. Okay, we're going to clear life is hard. Just that belief.
Mhm.
Life is hard. And I am going to ask you to breathe in and hold your breath. And I will say the statement, life is hard, but I'm going to say it in a longer form with an emotion connected to it, such as I release all anxiety with life is hard. And I need you to think that thought that I say out loud. So I need you to repeat what I'm saying out loud in your head and then breathe it out. And how I picture this working is every time you think that you are releasing that belief system connected to that emotion, it's as if we are snipping the neural pathway that is connected to that belief system. We are unwiring it, we are letting it go, and we are breathing it out into the universe. And we're going to do it multiple times with different emotions connected to the same belief. And then at the end, we replace that belief system. If we were like in a session, I would find the belief system that's very specific to you. We would have a conversation, and you may not have issues with life is hard, but you may have issues with every time I learn something new is hard. But we're just going to start today with the one belief that life is hard. So I'm going to tell you when to breathe in. I will not tell you when to breathe out. Just breathe out as soon as it's done, and I go at a steady pace. So go ahead and breathe in and hold. And repeat, I release all anxiety with life is hard. Breathe in and hold. I release all confusion with life is hard. Breathe in and hold. I release all dread with life is hard. Breathe in and hold. I release all hate with life is hard. Breathe in and hold. I release all hopelessness with life is hard. Breathe it and hold. I release all nervousness with life is hard. Breathe in and hold. I release all punishment with life is hard. And with this punishment, it feels as if every time life gets easy, you punish yourself because life doesn't get to be easy. Breathe in and hold. I release all resentment with life is hard. Breathe in and hold. I release all sorrow with life is hard. Breathe in and hold. I release all depression with life is hard. Breathe in and hold. I release all blocks with creativity with life is hard. Breathe in and hold. I release all blocks with harmony with life is hard. If you were living a harmonious life, life wouldn't be hard. Breathe in and hold. I release all blocks with worthiness with life is hard. Breathe in and hold. I release all blocks with support with life is hard. Mm. Breathe in and hold. I release all doubt with life is easy. Breathe in and hold. I release all resistance with life is easy. And breathe in and hold. I release all skepticism with life is easy. Go ahead and breathe in and out. Okay.
Thank you.
And let's go ahead and replace that. And we're going to do the same way to replace it as we did releasing it. So you're just going to breathe in and hold, and then think what I say out loud. So breathe in and hold. I am so happy, thankful, and grateful. I am open to receiving more than I can imagine love, abundance, and support. Breathe in and hold. I am so happy, thankful, and grateful. I have a grateful heart that keeps attracting all the things I deeply desire. Breathe in and hold. I am so happy, thankful, and grateful that life gets to be easy. Okay, go ahead and breathe in and out. Okay, and so that is just one belief system connected to SRT that we cleared.
And the workbook contains at least 5 to 6, so it's a good 30 minutes.
Yeah,
Thank you so
yeah.
much for going through that. That always feels so good. I literally
Right.
feel less weight every time I do an SRT session with you. A couple
Yeah.
more questions before we close. First off, to those who don't believe that it's possible to fully heal from addiction, I want to say that you have. I know that if we went back and started doing the things we were doing before, it would come back, of course. But I know for me, I don't want to. And it's legitimate, it's genuine. And I feel like you've expressed the same belief that you truly have healed from addiction in a way that some people say is not possible. So, what would you say to those people?
That don't believe that you can heal from addiction.
Yeah.
So, the belief system of an addict, I believe you can heal. Although, when we look at the genetics, so a little bit of my story, which I actually didn't jump into, was I am an alcoholic and I live in recovery, meaning I do not drink. And if I were to drink, my body physically creates a chemical that most people don't get, that I end up getting a craving and I can't stop drinking. So, that will never change. I'll never be able to drink, but the mindset of an addict, the mindset of an alcoholic, where that mindset that is created can be healed and
Mhm.
it can be cured, not to the sense that I'm going to be able to drink again because my body physically reacts. It's like an allergy to alcohol. Like I am physically allergic to it. There are some people who can't eat peanuts. I can. There are some people who can drink alcohol. I cannot. I react differently to it. That I can't change. But what I can change is the mindset that I've been living in. That mindset of something outside of me is controlling me. And so you don't have to be stuck in the mindset of an addict, the mindset of an alcoholic.
You don't have to be craving it and wishing you could have it for the rest of your life.
Nope.
You can be
No, I
free of
don't.
that and
Yes.
legitimately not want it anymore. Would you say?
Oh, yeah. I do not want it. I do not crave it. It is not something I desire to have in my life.
Oh, thank you. So, the last question I want to ask, kind of geared towards people who are weary or leery of what we call energetic healing and energy work. I think there's a lot of people out there who have never experienced it, don't understand it, worry that it verges on the side of witchcraft or what the scriptures refer to as sorcery.
Yeah.
I believe firmly that any profession, any healing modality, the integrity of the work is connected to the integrity of the professional administering the work, whether that's a surgery, whether it's your family doctor, whether it's a therapist or an energy healer. And so, a couple questions, I suppose, wrapped into one is that do you believe that energy work can harm? Do you have any experience with that? And what would you say to people who are cautious about trying energy healing?
So, energy work, again, going off of the integrity aspect, if you're going to somebody who is not integrous, yes, it can harm. But it's like a tool that we use. Just like a knife, you can use a knife to cut your steak, to cut anything that you need cut, or you can use a knife to go and harm somebody. In my experience, I had to learn that some people do consider energy healing like magic and they use it like magic. In the sense, how I view that is they are trying to manipulate other people to change utilizing energy work by
Mm,
casting spells on that person. That is where
mm,
it comes into magic. What I do is I'm not casting a spell on anybody. I'm not manipulating anybody else to change. I am not the healer. You are the healer. You are the one that is healing yourself in the sense that you are connected with your creator and your creator is the healer. And so I remember when I first stepped into this world, I heard someone say, like, well, I'm a light worker and I work with light and I'm here to help you utilizing light. And this woman that I was listening to, she's like, yeah, but you know what? Lucifer in heaven, his name is literally translated to the bringer of light. So, what light are you working with? Are you working with Lucifer or are you working with Christ? And I am adamant to make sure that everyone I work with, they know that I work with Christ. That is the light I am connecting to. So, I'm not the healer, Christ is. And you are healing yourself with that energy. And if that's not something that the person I'm working with is comfortable with, then they wouldn't be a good fit to work with me. Magic is when you're using words to cast spells to get somebody to do something that they normally would not do. Energy healing in a beautiful Christ filled way is using guidance in order to heal yourself and what you are doing in life, the actions you are taking, how you can move forward, how you can change, not how you can change somebody else.
right. I think for me, looking back, I needed a mediator between me and the Savior because I did not believe I deserved to be healed. And so I was constantly pushing him away. And it took someone else coming in and helping me realize that I did, and to kind of bridge that connection so that I could access the healing power of the Savior and his
Yeah.
atonement, which wasn't really possible for me before because I didn't know how. And I didn't know how to let him in. And I think a lot of people feel that, well, I'm supposed to just turn to Christ. That is correct. But if you can't, Christ sent us angels on earth and in heaven to help us to get to that point where we can.
Yes.
And that is
Absolutely.
why I love working with you, Aubrey. And I would recommend you to anyone who wants to heal either individually with you or alongside this program because you are so centered, you are so grounded. I don't meet a lot of energy workers who are as pure as you are, undefiled. I know that maybe sounds harsh, but I feel like a lot of people can get lost in this work. And I believe because you are grounded in the Savior and you speak to that, that you are not shy about saying, this is where I stand, that it keeps you in a place where you can continue to offer pure work that doesn't negatively affect you. Because when you're working with people who want and need healing, sometimes there's some really dark things that accompany that when people will come for help. So I think you do an amazing job of setting those boundaries that protect you and your clients. And
Thank you.
yeah, I mean, I have a handful of people that I recommend. You are at the top of that list. I think you're amazing. Let me just ask you before we leave, is there anything else you want to share before we close today?
You deserve and are worthy of happiness. Men are that they might have joy. We're not here to live a life full of depression. We're not here to be miserable. That is not why God created us. We're here to experience joy. And the world we live in is so harsh. I loved how you put earlier that it took someone outside of you to help you find your worthiness until you felt comfortable for yourself to believe that you're worthy. And I had a whole bunch of women once tell me, let me love you until you learn to love yourself. And so that's what I want to share is let Jennifer, let us love you until you learn to love yourself because you are worth loving. Your worth is inherent. There's nothing that can take away from it, and it is worth loving. Every aspect of you is worth loving, and you are worth feeling joy. And I believe that to my core.
That was beautiful. I truly appreciate your time today for sharing of your gifts, your talents, the inspiring things you shared. I know that there are people here listening today that needed to hear what you had to share with us today. I will just end it here because I don't think that anything better could be said. So
Thank you.
please join us next week for new content on the Overcome Depression podcast. See you next time. If you are new to this podcast, please go watch all of the hashtag introduction videos first, and then consider downloading the Overcome Depression workbook. Links in the description. The content in this podcast is based on my own personal beliefs, is for informational purposes only, and is not intended to substitute for medical advice, diagnoses, or treatment. Please refer to the full legal disclaimer in the description.